Well, hey, everybody, this is Tanner Mulvihill over at Bayfield Home Loans, and I'm joined today by...
And Marley Green with Century 21 New Millennium.
And Ann, you are a homeowner in Embrey Mill, so we're going to talk about everything that happened for the month of July, so let's go ahead and get to it.
Perfect.
All right, Ann, so the first one we're going to talk about was actually one that we talked about last month that was on the market. So this is 114 Apricot, and it just closed, it looked like. Tell me a little bit about this house.
Yeah, so this was one of two townhouses that we talked about last time that we were watching.
Okay.
They were under contract at kind of the higher end of the price point for townhouses. So we just wanted to monitor them a little bit. One of them has closed. That is this one over on Apricot, and it closed for 100% of list price. And I think this one is worth every penny at $530,000. They did some truly beautiful custom upgrades to it.
Yeah, and I think we noticed that last month where we were looking at, just everything from where the TV mount in the living room with the fireplace was beautiful. The color choices were great. And, that 530 price point, getting that on this house is super important for everybody else, because now that's going to dictate, that's a comp for us, right? So ideally, this is probably going to be one for a lot of townhouses that the appraisers are going to stand on when they're trying to get a value.
Absolutely. No, we love to see homes close at high prices just because that is the ammunition that we use to price the next set of homes at those prices. And then hopefully, they just kind of trickle up from there. We always love to see homes closing pretty aggressively in price in our neighborhood.
That's right. And I think one of the things that caught our attention about this one last time too is we had the brick front. So it was now, is this one of the larger units in the townhouses?
It is, yeah. And it's one of the ones that has 2-car garage. It's an awesome location, very close to the bistro and a lot of the amenities in the neighborhood. So that's just, cherry on top for
So a quick walk to the pool.
Yeah, very quick.
Got it. I mean, and as we looked through this one before, I now remember it, they had an excellent color choice that really accented the floor nicely. So good job by them. It just kind of goes to show that if you make good decisions on the way the house looks and you price it right and not kind of, they didn't ask for 575 or anything crazy, and they got it. So
Yep.
Perfect.
Congratulations to everyone.
That's right. All right. And let's go ahead and get the next one that we're going to talk about pulled up. Okay.
Yep, this one was active last time. It was one of the ones that had just kind of come on, and we said we thought it would go pretty quickly, and it did. I want to say, it was on the market for 10 days. So pretty quick for Embrey Mill. Our time is usually around 2 weeks of list time for a home to go under contract. So they did their homework. They did a great job. It is under contract, and hopefully when we do this next month, we'll have a solid update on what that closed at.
Yeah, and so 10 days on the market. Let's click through this house a little bit. Do you feel that there might have been some multiples on this, or maybe they just kind of accepted the best one they got and they said, let's get this closed?
Yeah, I mean, there could have been multiples on it. I've seen a lot of sellers, instead of opting for, the first offers that come on, I've seen a lot more that want to kind of keep it on for a full week, and see what they can get in that week. So I definitely don't think, it being on just a little bit longer than a week would eliminate the possibility of multiple offers. It looks like it showed probably beautifully. It's very clean inside. I think they did a great job getting it ready for the market.
Yeah, but can you touch on a little bit about, for a buyer, let's look at it from the buyer perspective when you go to write an offer, because if the seller is taking that tax, what can be the downside for the seller? Or, what can we run into with buyers if that happens?
Yeah, so I have run into this just last week with a set of my buyers where, they were coming to house hunt in person and they had very limited time for them to secure a house. It was very important to them that they secured a house in the weekend, that we were out house hunting. So the house that they really, really wanted was going to wait until, 4 days later on Tuesday to accept any kind of offer, even though we put in a very aggressive, very beautiful offer, in my opinion. And for my buyers, unfortunately, they had other houses that weren't at the very top, but they would be very happy in, and they just could not take that risk of waiting all the way till Tuesday. So what I always tell my sellers is, this is a great offer that you have on the table. Sure, more offers could come in that are better or similar, but you have to understand that the buyer can walk away at any time until it
Yeah.
is signed by all parties on all sides. They could walk away, and then you're going to be kind of back at square one.
It's a strategy, and it's very similar to any other investment, whether it's the stock market or otherwise. You can take that risk, or you can take the bird in the hand and call it a day. So
Yeah,
everybody's risk threshold is slightly different. So you definitely get to
absolutely.
find that out. One of the things about this house too that we're seeing the interior and everything very beautiful. And the time frame, though, the 10 days of going off the market, with interest rates starting to fall, what are your thoughts on, are we seeing more buyers that I think we're going to see maybe that we wouldn't have seen last September, or as we're going further in the month here and up of August, obviously?
Yeah. So, at least in my experience in the conversations I'm having with buyers and sellers and just our activity out house hunting in the market, now is really when we typically see a pretty significant slowdown in the market,
Yep.
because a lot of people are trying to get their kids established in the home before school starts, and school starts on Monday and Tuesday,
Woo.
depending on what grade you're going into. So usually right now we kind of hit a brick wall and it gets very slow until we
Yeah.
get more towards the end of the holidays. But in my experience, buyers are still out there, much more active than they are typically this time of year. I think the interest rates really does play a big role in that, because there are people who already live in Stafford County or live in the area, and they're just looking to upgrade or, get smaller square footage, whatever their means are, that have been kind of on the fence just because they've been waiting for interest rates to dip down closer to the fives. And I
Yep.
saw some fives last week. So I
I've
think,
been locking them. Yep.
yeah, I think this fall might actually have way more activity than we're used to.
I think so too. And one of the things I would stress to any potential buyers that are watching our video, that the longer you wait for rates to continue to go down, quote unquote, more likely you're going to have competition. And I would much rather have written an offer on this beautiful house and been one of two offers going in than being one of five, regardless of the interest rates, because then I get to overpay if I'm really want to win, not necessarily overpay, but I'm going to have to win. And a list price offer is not going to do that if there's five other offers.
Absolutely not. Yeah, and a
Yeah.
lot of contingencies that go into play with that too. But
Yeah.
I know a lot of buyers, and obviously you would know more about this, but I have heard a lot of buyers are starting to refinance now. Some of the people who
Yep.
brought, previous to January, are reaching back out and trying to get a little better of a monthly payment for themselves.
They are, and we do them with the often no closing costs. So if anybody's watching this video and you're thinking about refinancing, hit me up. Numbers at the top. So, all right, let's go ahead and go into some of one we're going to take a look at here. And all right, Ann. So I have up in front of me here 533 Gladolia Way, and this one. Tell me a little bit about this. What do we got?
Yeah, so this is a home that's active on the market in the neighborhood right now. Really beautiful inside, as all Embrey Mill homes are. But interesting note about this one is they are open to a VA assumption.
Ah,
I want to say their interest rate is 2.65,
yep,
2.625 on it. So it's a great opportunity for a buyer to come in. They'd have to have cash on hand to bridge the gap between sales price and whatever the mortgage balance is. But your monthly payment would be significantly lower, assuming a loan at that rate, if it's possible.
crazy low, that is for sure. So to caveat that a little bit, for those that are unfamiliar with a VA assumption loan, if you are eligible for a VA loan, and so let's say Ann was selling this house to me and sales price is 775 or 750, and Ann owed 600. I would need to come up with $150,000 to assume the loan, work through the process with the current lender to take it over, and then go from there. Now, assumptions from probably your standpoint and my standpoint are great, but they do have a lot of pain involved, for lack of a better way to put it. They take time. They can be very frustrating working through the process, things like that.
Yeah, they definitely have a lot more hurdles than a regular transaction.
Yeah.
We, in the past year or so, have seen a ton advertised, but I would say not a ton actually go through to closing as an assumption, just
Yep.
because from a seller's standpoint, it doesn't have all the perks of a quick closing
For
that
sure.
a traditional sale would. But as an advertising tactic, and if they are open to waiting, if they don't need to sell this house in order to buy the next one, it is a great opportunity to open the pool of buyers just to expand it out to a larger group, because they'll be able to afford those monthly payments.
For sure. And if you have questions and you're watching this video on assumptions, please reach out to either Ann or myself, and we would be able to address them for you. It's a great process, or it's a great program for veterans. It is a process that you got to go through. But honestly, if at the end of the day, if you're assuming a loan that's a payment $1,500 less than I could get you right now, if you're going to buy it, yeah, you might be willing to go through that for a little bit. So
Yep. Yeah. We're happy to help answer any of the questions that we have. There will be lots of them with assumptions.
yes. In looking at this house, I really the kitchen is massive, so that's immediately catching my eye. This is kind of the upper end of the price point for Embrey Mill right now. So, what are you seeing as far as are we seeing a slowdown on the upper end stuff? Lower end stuff still moving quickly? What do we got?
Yeah, no, things are still moving pretty consistently through
Okay.
Embrey Mill. I want to say the days on market in July were 22, but there were some outliers that made that higher than normal. I'd say most houses went closer to the 10-day mark, 14-day mark. There was one home that was tenant occupied, and that is a whole different can of worms with getting a home sold, that we go on a lot of tangents with how that complicates the process.
Yep.
So I don't think that one was any fault of the sellers or the listing agent. I think it's just a little bit more difficult to get a tenant occupied property under contract. So that tended to drag the days up. But no, I mean, things are still selling very quickly. And hopefully now that they're advertising that assumption rate, it'll just fly off the market.
Absolutely. Well, for anybody that is watching our video, Ann, please reach out to Ann. Her number is below. She is a homeowner in Embrey Mill, top producer in the Stafford County area. And Ann, any final thoughts for our July update video to the Embrey Mill folks?
No, we'll just keep monitoring everything that's out there, and we'll see, for the August one, if things really have stayed pretty consistent with buyer activity, or if things dipped like they normally do. So next month will be a surprise for everyone.
I'd say so. My prediction is I think the days on market are probably go up around 10 would be my guess, based on the people that are moving to Embrey Mill typically during this time of year are getting there because of school. And as you mentioned, and I heard my son groan somewhere in the universe, that school starts back up Monday. So so I think it's going to go up a little bit, but the price points may even bump up a little bit as these interest rates continue to fall. So it'll be interesting to see what August does for us here.
Yep. No, I agree. It's going to be very interesting to see how this all plays out.
Awesome. Well, everybody, I hope you have a great rest of the day. Ann and I will see you in August.